The first part says just write it in the other form. Write it as with a root, a radical, or write it as an exponent. That's the first part. And the second part, when it says simplify, that means actually reduce the root. That means take this number that's inside of the root and change it to be its simplified answer. How we do that is you break it down into a factor tree. We're going to take this number 32 and we're going to break it down into its factors. 32 is 2 times 16. 16 comes from 2 times 8. 8 comes from 2 times 4. 4 comes from 2 times 2. You're going to take all of those lowest numbers, the prime numbers, and you're going to use those here. This is the fifth root of 1 over 2. And how many 2's did you have? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth root of 1 over 2 to the fifth power. That's sure weird to say, but that's what it is. Whenever you're doing roots, you can do the top part of the fraction separately from the bottom part of the fraction. So we can split this fraction up to be the fifth root of 1 divided by the fifth root of 2 to the fifth power. Whenever you're doing any squaring or roots with the number 1, it's always going to stay the number 1. Whenever we have the fifth root of 2 to the fifth power, these two things match perfectly and they cancel each other out, and you are just left with the number 2. The answer for 13 is 1/2. It actually can be a lot easier than that. Let's check with 3125. 3,125 can obviously be divided by 5. So let me use my calculator to do 3,125 divided by 5. And I get 625. This number on the right can still be divided by 5. So let me divide 625 by 5. And I get 125 times 5. This can still be split by 5. And I'll get 5 times 25. This can be split one more time into 5 times 5. And if you count those 5s, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means that this is, instead of writing 3,125, you could write 5 to the fifth power inside of this parentheses. We are replacing this number with its factors. Okay, so inside the parentheses, 3,125 is the same thing as 5 to the fifth power. The number was originally the fifth root, so we still have to put the 1/5 on the outside of the parentheses. If we distribute this number inside, you will get 5 to the 5 times 1/5 power, which is 5 to the 5 over 5 power. And 5 over 5 is 5 to the first power, which is 5. It looks like a lot, but this is the good stuff. This is the fun stuff. It just takes paying attention and doing it one step at a time. So let's do some more together. 1,024. 1,024 might be divisible by 4, so let me do 1,024 divided by 4. It is. It goes 256 times. I'm going to break this number 4 into a 2 and a 2, and 256 into 2 times 128. 128 is 2 times 64. 64 is 4 times 16. 4 splits into 2 and 2. And 16 splits into 4 times 4, which breaks down into 2, 2, 2, and 2. That's a lot. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1024 is equal to 2 to the 10th power. And that was being raised to the 1/5 power. So we're going to distribute this power into here. 2 to the 10 times 1/5 is equal to 2 to the 10 over 5, which reduces down to 2 to the 2nd power. 2 to the 2nd power is 4. So in total, we had 1024. The 5th root of it is equal to 4. Okay, so I'll just give you one more hint. Take the number, break it down into something that it can be divided by, figure out how many times that number fits inside of it by using your calculator, and then just keep on going until you only have prime numbers. Let me write those notes down. Okay, so we have step 1, 2, 3, 4. Step 1 is break a number inside of a root into its prime factors. Use the factor tree. Write the prime factors, all of them multiplying together, and use exponents if needed to shorten that number. The last thing you need to do is apply the root or the fractional power and distribute it to your rewritten number. Finally, simplify.